Earth is. It's basically a giant encyclopedia of the Earth, and they've recently, probably maybe within the last 6 months, brought in these kind of tours you can do. A few of them caught my eye, and I thought I'd do some videos on them. This one in particular, the beautiful game. From the legendary to the colossal, take a trip around the globe to some unforgettable soccer destinations. I mean, it does lose points for calling it soccer, but I'll let it off for that. So, what we're going to do is basically take a tour around some football stadiums around the world, which is pretty cool. First up being the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. TSV 1860 and Bayern Munich state-of-the-art, up to 75,000 capacity football ground, clad in a membrane of inflated foil panels. This as well, I believe, when TSV play their home games, it's blue, like the lights are all blue. When Bayern play, it's red, which is kind of a cool little feature to differentiate, because a lot of the times clubs which share grounds, they kind of, it doesn't really feel like it's your own, especially if you're rivals in a city. I think of the San Siro being the one that probably comes to mind the most. Trying to think of if any other. I remember many years ago, Crystal Palace used to share with Wimbledon, as well as Selhurst Park, and ground shares aren't something you see so much in the UK or even in Spain. But in Italy and Germany there are a few clubs who do ground share. It kind of makes sense sometimes, especially I guess in the case of DSV, they probably don't sell out that 75,000 capacity, but they get a state-of-the-art stadium to use, and maybe covered some of the cost of it as well for Bayern, I guess. I don't know offhand there, but it's a beautiful stadium. Let's go and have a look, shall we? There we go. Now I want to go inside and have a look, please. There we go. Let's go on the centre spot, shall we? Plop. This is cool though. I don't know what happened there. Oh my god, look, it was snowing in. Some guy walking it. It was snowing obviously around this time, I guess. How is that the centre spot, by the way? I feel a little bit robbed right now. What does that button do? I'm a bit scared to press it, but oh okay, it just goes back outside. Let's try another spot. See if that works. I see the sprinklers on there as well for the pitch. Oh okay, this is like inside. That guy looks terrified. Okay, it's probably like where they have their trophy cabinets and things like that as well. That's pretty cool. Weird that these spots, maybe that's like underneath the pitch or something, I don't know offhand. Interesting that they use inflated foil panels around the outside. That's pretty cool. If you have a look at it from this view, you can kind of see them a little bit better there as well. I was kind of still trying to, can we get one in the stands maybe? That might be a good view if it is that. Oh, here we go, yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. In terms of my kind of favourite type, so this I imagine is a Bayern Munich game. Although actually, judging by the fact that these look like this guy with his Google camera, that's hilarious. These look like Danish fans, so it could be that there was like a, yeah look, no, Norwegian, sorry, that's a Norwegian flag. So it could be that this was like Germany versus Norway or something like that going on. They look like Norwegian fans down there. But you can see it's kind of quite, to be honest with you, considering you're so high up, that's actually a pretty good view, you know, of the pitch. That's pretty nice. I've been to a few stadiums in England, and you do not get this good a view a lot of the time from being this far up, so that's pretty cool actually. I know as well Bayern Munich are a pretty good club. I believe they put a freeze on like season ticket prices and like season ticket for like Bayern Munich, considering they're one of the biggest clubs in the world. I think their cheapest one is like €300 or something like that, because they said basically that they could increase the prices, but it wouldn't make a huge difference to the amount of money they have. So they would rather their fans, they'd rather their fans pay an affordable price for a season ticket. So fair play to Bayern Munich for that. If only some English clubs would follow, but that's not a bad view actually. Okay, let's move on anyway. The Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, legendary home of Brazilian soccer, which hosted the 2014 World Cup final and the 2016 Olympic Games. Yeah, very, very famous football stadium. I think at one point it may have been like held the record for the largest number of like the highest capacity at like 100,000 or something. It doesn't say what its capacity is here. Let me just Google it quickly on my phone and see, because I know they kind of like effectively rebuilt it for the World Cup and Olympics, so they might have like reduced the capacity. Maracana, Brazil, the Maracana Stadium. Okay, capacity 78,838. So yeah, they did reduce it, but to be fair, it might have had like standing areas back in the day. But no fancy foil panels around the outside here. Oh, look at this. Let's see if we can get in the centre there. That'd be pretty cool. Oh, you can. It's not going to put us in like weirdly outside the stadium. Taking its sweet time to load up though. I mean, God bless the people who do this, even though it is loading so slowly. Here we go. And people do kind of shit on Google a lot, but like, fair play. This is free, so you can't really like argue too much. I guess because it's having to do high-res photos in each of these, it's taking a while to load, but you kind of get a pretty good gist of this stadium. It doesn't feel bigger, does it, than the Allianz Arena that we were just in, but I think because that arena felt like it was a lot tighter, like it's a lot kind of like steeper with the seats and things like that. Oh, okay, that worked. All I did was zoom out. Wow, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a nice football stadium. Although surprisingly for a football stadium which did like also have like a running track and everything for the Olympics, it feels like the fans are pretty close there. When you actually stand on a football pitch, if you've ever been in a football stadium, especially when you have all the fans in, if you've ever stood on the pitch when that stadium is full, it feels a lot smaller than you think. Trust me, it feels very small. People talk about the way footballers, it's as much a mental thing as it is, physically to play, because like people can go on and say, oh, they get paid so much money, but trust me, if you were on this pitch here and you make a mistake and every person in this stadium is jeering you, man, that you have to be mentally very tough to come back from that, which I guess might explain why they do get paid quite a lot of money. The Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena, California, storied stadium which has hosted the 1994 World Cup final, numerous Super Bowls and the annual Rose Bowl college football game. I love a good stadium like this, open, and it's gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, the Rose Bowl, I remember the World Cup 94, it's the World Cup that I first clearly remember. I remember bits of Italia 90, but World Cup 94 was the one I remember first. It was disappointing because England weren't in it. We didn't qualify, but in some ways that does make things a bit better, because you can focus on everything else. And I think it was the first one the USA were at, at least for a long time. And you had players like Alexi Lalas and stuff like that, and it had that cool kind of like denim type kit. It was awesome. You had Diana Ross in the opening ceremony, like taking a penalty. It was cool. It was Brazil who won, wasn't it? Italy lost in the final to Brazil, I want to say, 94 World Cup. Let me just Google that. 1994 World Cup. I remember Romania and Bulgaria both doing very well. So yeah, Brazil won, and I believe they won on penalties, I think. Yeah, runners-up was Italy, third place was Sweden, fourth place was Bulgaria, and the top goals was Oleg Salenko and Hristov Stoichkov. I remember that Stoichkov always used to get pissed off at that because Salenko scored like 5 goals in one game. The best player was Romario for Brazil, Romario Bebeto, I remember. Oh, they were so good. Best young player was Mark Overmars. Let's have a look at the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl. Pasadena. I'm sure there's probably more than one like Rose Bowl out there. Capacity is 92,542. Incredible when you think that when you start getting to a point whereby you're talking about nearly like 100,000 people, watching a sporting event. This has done that thing as well where just weirdly, like, give me the pitch, man, not the let's get in the stand and let's see if we can have a look from there and see how it looks from there. Let me know if you've ever been to any of these stadiums as well. I'd be very fascinated to know what you think about it from the point inside the stadium. Well, dude, personal space. Oh, okay, so this was during a American football game, I guess. Probably what it's mostly used for, I would imagine. That guy's head. Yeah, again, doesn't feel that as large as that Allianz Arena to me, but is bigger. But that must be awesome to come here at a nice sunny day, watch a sporting event. Yeah, very cool. I'd imagine I would enjoy that. Ooh, the Camp Nou in Barcelona, Spain. Probably one of the most famous grounds. I've actually been here. This is probably going to be one of the only places I've been to. Barcelona's home ground, and let me tell you, from the outside, this place is enormous. Barcelona's home ground simply means new ground, following the move from the team's original home in 1957. Very original, like naming. But obviously, like most people will know about the recent Barcelona teams with the likes of Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, Suarez, Neymar, those types of teams over the last few years, but in the past it also held like some magnificent teams under the kind of Cruyff era, and such. It really feels like a magnificent stadium. But when you see this on like Derby Day, against Madrid, it's really spectacular. Barcelona is one of my favourite cities in the whole world. It's just stunning. It has pretty much everything. I'd imagine that's probably their like reserve / youth team stadium just there, which is probably bigger than most like League One teams in the UK. But it's a beautiful stadium, it really is. Okay, let's see if we can't see if he's going to let us actually be on the pitch for once. Okay, we're in the stands. Oh fuck, that feels big, doesn't it? So I just looked up the size, and it's 99,300 just shy of 100,000. It's the second largest stadium in the world. I wonder if we'll have the largest on here. But yeah, it is a beast, isn't it? And yeah, I don't fancy probably watching a football match from up there too much, but I imagine on Derby Day the atmosphere in here is just unrivaled, probably apart from some of the other biggest derbies in the world. Just amazing, really. Really incredible. And let's kind of see it from the outside as well if we can, because I remember I did like a stadium tour of it, and I did like when I went to Barcelona, and let's see if we can kind of see it maybe from the street here. Just the size of it just astounded me when I got near it. It was just enormous. It's not probably the best looking stadium from the outside. Yeah, it's a bit kind of old schooly concrete-y, but it was built in 1957, so you could give them something for that. But yeah, lovely stadium. What's next? The Estadio Azteca. Now, I believe this is the largest stadium in the world. Let me just confirm that with Google here. Estadio Azteca. No, it's not. 87,000. Oh, that's interesting. I thought this was the largest stadium in the world. High altitude 1966 Club America home stadium, which has seen some of the most famous moments in World Cup soccer history. So which World Cup did this host? I seem to remember it being one where Pele won. Is that correct? That is correct. Mexico. Wow. So, wow. The record attendance, so it's slightly lower now, but the record attendance back in the day was Mexico v Brazil, 1968, 119,853. And in only 1993, for a boxing match, they had 132,247 for Julio Cesar Chavez versus Greg Hugon on 20th of February 1993, because obviously when it's a boxing they can use this bit inside as well. But that's really quite incredible. It was the 1970 World Cup final. Brazil defeated Italy 4-1, so that was the one where Pele was in. So, and in the 1986 it was held World Cup final. Argentina defeated West Germany 3-2. So I'd imagine. Oh, and it hosted the quarter-final match with England-Argentina, in which Diego Maradona scored both the Hand of God goal and the goal of the century. If you haven't seen those two goals, you should do. The Hand of God is obviously a travesty where he punched it into the net, but then he did score a magnificent goal afterwards, because Diego Maradona was such an arsehole. He's such a good player, and just, yeah, such a flawed genius at the same time. Let's see if we can't get a look from the sands inside here. Okay, not quite what I had imagined, but yeah, that feels big. That certainly does feel like a big stadium, I think. Not too far, but quite far, I'd say, though, away from the pitch at the sides there. A bit closer here, I guess. But yeah, that's a pretty hefty stadium, isn't it? Let's see if we can't get another view. I love these like Google Earth things, they're so good. Man, kids nowadays spoiled. Never had this when I was a kid. Let's try and go on the centre spot and see if we can get something there. Really at number 5. Okay, it's done that weird thing again where it's actually put me into the stands, but that's a pretty good view. Oh, okay, looks like they did hold some NFL games here as well. Interesting. Looks like they've got a football match going on for this one though. Not a great attendance, but maybe it'll fill up. It's pretty cool though. I imagine this, like with the lights in the evening, big derby match here would be pretty awesome as well. What's next? Recreado May Day Stadium, multi-purpose stadium, Pyongyang, North Korea. Colossal multi-sport stadium used for soccer and other events, including the Ararag Massive Games. I did not know that this was a see if we can. I'm gonna imagine we can't. I don't think North Korea let Google Maps inside. Yeah, there's nowhere we can see here. That's just. Oh, no, wait. I just picked up a little blue spot here. Let's see what we can see here. Do you think? I don't think North Korea would let Google Maps. Oh wow, look at this. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty nice looking stadium actually. Well done, North Korea. You know your stadiums at the very least. I wonder if this is where like Mr. Kim Jong-il himself sits. Probably he's up there somewhere, isn't he? Behind some bulletproof glass or something. You don't look Korean. You look very worried though. And they look very happy. I'm always fascinated by North Korea because we always kind of imagine it to be this like very miserable, like, you know, state, but I don't know, it's such a fascinating thing when eventually the kind of, and it will eventually, relations will thaw and, you know, people will be allowed in and they will be able to tell the stories of the country. It will be fascinating to learn about it. So let's just have a look and see what the attendance is, or the seating. Mayday Stadium. Capacity. Okay, so this apparently is the largest stadium in the world by capacity. 114,000 it holds. How interesting. North Korea has the largest stadium in the world. Well, there you go. You can use that as a bit of trivia for your friends, can't you? Now one of the stadiums which I grew up with in my youth, the San Siro. I love this stadium, I love the look of it. It's a bit old now, admittedly, but I remember this from when I grew up and was watching Football Italia on Channel 4, and we had like the amazing AC Milan teams with like Maldini, Baresi, Boban, just incredible teams, and some great Inter Milan teams as well, and Paul Ince played, the English player Paul Ince played, and I loved this stadium. I always tend to choose it in FIFA when I can as well. It's a really nice stadium, but used by AC and Inter Milan, named after the saint of a local church. This place is a bit fuller, isn't it? I imagine this is is this an AC match then? I imagine people seem to be wearing, the black and red, so I imagine it is, but I think this is a really nice stadium. Probably not as big, I can't remember what the capacity is, it must be around 60,000 or something like that. The San Siro Stadium, let's have a look. 80,000 actually, sorry, it was larger than I remember. But yeah, this has probably seen some magnificent teams play over the years here in the San Siro in Milan. Just a gorgeous stadium. I love the architecture of it. It almost seems Japanese in a way, weirdly. Let's just have a look from the outside if we can. Let's go there. With these kind of pillars, and then you can kind of, I think, maybe see what I mean by those guys that have lost there. Ooh, yeah, I like it. I like it as a football stadium. I think it's awesome. I'd love to go there one day. We'll see a Milan derby. I mean, it probably doesn't have the prestige anymore than it did because both Milan teams have struggled over the last few years, especially AC, but I think it'd still be pretty special on derby day. Let's move on to our next one, the FNB Stadium in Johannesburg, South Africa. Iconic stadium reconstructed for the 2010 Soccer World Cup, nicknamed the Calabash or African Pot. That's a beautiful stadium, isn't it, from the outside there. Pitch doesn't look so good, but I kind of want to see how this looks from out here. World Cup in South Africa was shit view, wasn't it? It was a magnificent success, I think. Not in the way of, I think what many people always seem to assume that, oh, it's a World Cup, it's going to be like, you know, mark a kind of, I don't know, like a change in that country's fortunes, things like that. I think more what it did was the fuck is this? Okay, it appears to be some sort of concert going on outside, which apparently when you click on the centre spot, that's what it shows you. But it's more, I think, about showing that an African country can host a World Cup. You know, they can do it their way. It's not just something which, you know, first world countries should be allowed to host. That's a nice stadium, isn't it? Let's have a look at the capacity for this. The FNB Stadium. Okay, 94,736. That's a lot of people as well. Not a lot of people in there though. At the minute, is there? I imagine might be just, yeah, it looks like a training day, to be fair. That's pretty cool though. Where are we up to next? Wembley Stadium. I live about 15 minutes away from Wembley Stadium. It's you can see the arch from my house-ish on a clear day. It's nice. I remember the old Wembley Stadium with the Twin Towers, and it was pretty cool. Weirdly, I've never been to Wembley, the new one, but I want to go. Tottenham are playing home games there at the minute, so it would be pretty cool to be able to go there. I imagine you could probably walk around most of this. Or is this going to put us underneath, I reckon? No, actually put us, actually put us on the pitch. So this was probably Belgium against England at some point. Maybe a friendly, I don't think we've played them competitively for a while. England v Ukraine, Tuesday the 11th of September. So this wasn't that long ago, I don't think. Wembley Stadium capacity is 90,000. I'm sure it's probably 1 or 2 out, but 90,000 it says Wikipedia. Really lovely stadium. It's got roof. If you need to, massively over priced and took way too long to build, but hey, that's everything in England anyway. Also, interestingly, a lot of the handrails that were used were polished by the company that my mum owns. I remember going to see her at her work, and there was these loads of like long metal tubes ready to be all polished up, and I was like, oh, what are they for? And she's like, oh, it's for the Wembley Stadium. And at that time there's loads of reports about it being behind schedule, and I was like, oh, shouldn't you get them done, like, isn't it behind schedule? And she was like, it'd be fine. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that my mother's business was responsible for the delay in Wembley Stadium. I'm just saying that that was a true anecdote that actually happened. So there we are, home to obviously England, as I said, one of those rare stadiums in the world where it doesn't actually have a club side use it. So Tottenham are playing there this season while their ground gets rebuilt, but otherwise it's just used for events like sporting events. They have NFL games there occasionally. No, they don't have rugby there because that's at Twickenham, sorry. I should know that. They have a lot of concerts and things like that there, and football matches. We do FA Cup final here, they do the semi-finals here as well. You got the Carabao Cup final, you have all the playoff finals as well, are all here. Any sort of finals here, but it's kind of rare in the world nowadays to have a national stadium that is not used by club side. Not that many out there that still do that. Okay. Estadio Alberto Germando Stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina, home of Boca Juniors, known locally as La Bombonera, and famous for the acoustics created by its steep sides and flat stands. Yeah, it's a very fascinating stadium. You can see it's got this this very flat side here, and then this big curve round. I do like this stadium a lot, actually. There's a lot of character to it. I like stadiums with character to them, rather than just your usual kind of like ovals. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Obviously, it's just kind of weird, isn't it, the way they just went, oh, stop. Let's see if we can get a look inside. It's like you can go around the outside of it. Is it going to put us on the pitch, or? Yeah, yes, it will. So yeah, they're all like boxes and stuff like that, and then you've got all around here as well. I don't think this holds too many. There's a kid with half a missing face there as well. Let's look up La Bombonera. That did not like that. Let's look up Estadio Alberto Giamando. 49,000, yeah, so one of the smaller ones we see, but you can see it's fascinating, and in the design and also the atmosphere here. You know, Derby against River Plate would be that. It would be something for sure. Old Trafford, home of Manchester United, offering behind-the-scenes stadium tours and 75,000 seats for matches. So I believe this is the largest, if you don't count Wembley with Tottenham, the largest ground in the Premier League, Old Trafford, and has seen many fantastic teams over the years. Many great sides by Alex Ferguson. Is that the hotel outside that's like owned by some of the old players, I think? And yeah, it's I think that is the cricket ground, the Old Trafford cricket ground, I think, as well. Just there. Manchester's a fantastic city, by the way. If you're ever in England, it's well worth a visit. A lot of history going on there. It's well known to be the kind of second city of the UK, although I'm sure Birmingham and places like that would have something to say about that. You can see some very interestingly designed buildings going on around here. There's also a large shopping centre called the Trafford Centre, which I'm kind of trying to find, but I don't really know from this view where it is. It could be that, to be fair. Let's just have a look quick. I know we're not looking at the football ground, but let's see if we can have a look there. Oh, look! View Cinemas. Somebody I know works for View Cinemas. Let's go back to the ground. Where are we? There we go. Let's get a look inside. I remember when they redeveloped this kind of stand here, the main stand, to build it up to like the 70,000. Like that. That does feel pretty big. There's a Bobby Charlton stand. I think they've also got the Sir Alex Ferguson stand as well. Both well deserving of their own stands. Bobby Charlton, if you ever want to watch a fantastic film, there's one about is it called? I was going to say it's called Munich, but that's not the film. It's a different film. I'm just going to look up the name of it quickly. Oh, it's called United. A fantastic film. It's about the Munich air disaster, 1958. If you don't know what happened, I don't think it would be a spoiler to say it was a real event that actually happened, where Manchester United were playing in another country. They were due to take off. I think it was that they were due to take off from Munich airport, and it was like there was a crash anyway, and so they were returning home from a European Cup match in Belgrade. the aeroplane crashed attempting to take off after refuelling in Munich, and 7 of the club's players are killed. Duncan Edwards and Matt Busby are seriously injured, Matt Busby was the manager at the time. Duncan Edwards was like one of the star players. And it's just about the rebuilding of that side, and about obviously Sir Bobby Charlton being one of the key members of that side, who was a young player then, but kind of stepped up and became a kind of Manchester United and England legend. But it really kind of shows like it's a very sad story, but it does show like true kind of heroes, people with the mental strength to come back from something as horrific as that is just amazing. But yeah, there's Old Trafford. We have the Santiago Bernabu Stadium in Madrid, home of Real Madrid, 81,000 capacity, so smaller than the Nou Camp, but certainly a magnificent stadium. Even so, I like the stylings of this one as well. Let's see if we can get down onto the old centre spot. Well, apparently not the centre spot. That's quite an intimidating stadium though, isn't it? When you're kind of, caged in like this. Imagine Derby Day as well is well up there, and you can see kind of how close people are to the pitches. This is the dugout where the managers would be, the 2 teams, the substitutes, and then it's not that far away. There are some which are closer, obviously, but still, Madrid, a beautiful city as well in Spain, and it just looks. I always feel like stadium, they just fit so well into cities. It's gorgeous. You can almost see it from here, can't you? Amazing. What's that thing? I have no idea what that is. Looks like maybe like a race track of some sort. Oh, that's a golf course. You can tell that, can't you? And last but not least, the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff in Wales. Riverside home of Welsh Rugby Union plus Football Speedway and concerts. Speedway is where they slide bikes around. I've never really been into it, but it's a thing. Millennium Stadium, fantastic stadium actually. Again, it's a national stadium without a home team in it. Cardiff City are a pretty big football club, but they have their own ground. I think that's it there, I'm going to guess. Yep, there it is. Weird, I know. Why build 2 football I don't know. Has a roof, had many fantastic concerts and events here, and it always felt to me like a more successful Wembley Stadium. When Wembley was being rebuilt, the Millennium Stadium held all of the FA Cup finals, things like that, and when you have the when there's all these people in here singing, it is a magnificent atmosphere in here, especially if you put the roof on as well. Oh, it's really good. Wales is probably a bit more of a rugby kind of country. Might be a little bit unfair to say recently, but rugby matches as well when they're on here. Six Nation matches, things like that. Really amazing atmosphere in the Millennium Stadium. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our little tour there of stadiums. I enjoyed that. I hope you guys did too. Thank you so much for watching. It's been my pleasure as always, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.